Okay class, let's go to part 2. Yung part 1 natin is about system of quality control. Part 2 natin class is about the auditor's professional and legal responsibilities. Ayan. Now, for professional and legal responsibilities, we will focus on two things. Number 1 is fraud, and number 2 is compliance with laws and regulations. Okay? Dumuha tayo sa fraud. Right, so let's discuss fraud. We have two types of fraud. Number 1 is what we call fraudulent financial reporting. And then, second type of fraud is what we call misappropriation of assets. Okay? Fraudulent financial reporting and misappropriation of assets. Sir, what do you mean by fraudulent financial reporting? Basically, class, it's manipulation of financial statements. Okay? Manipulation of FS. Yung magandang example nito, yung example ko ng Celadon Group. Okay? When you say manipulation of FS, pwedeng overstatement of revenues. What else? Understatement of expenses or overstatement of assets, understatement of liabilities. Okay? We call this fraudulent financial reporting. And then misappropriation of assets naman, class. Well, ang magandang example dito is stealing of cash, okay? Stealing of inventory. What else? So let's say payment of fictitious employees. Okay? Pinapasweldo mo fictitious employees. That's an example of misappropriation of assets. So we will learn later ano yung responsibility of the auditor when it comes to fraud. Alright? Now, to properly illustrate yung fraud, okay, and yung compliance with laws and regulations, let's have an illustration. Okay? Class, are you familiar with what happened with RCBC? Let's call this RCBC, okay, money heist. Yan. Nanonood ba kayo ng money heist sa Netflix? Parang audit theory, parang Netflix din siya. Kung may money heist ka doon, we have RCBC money heist in audit theory. Alright? So, ganito nangyari dyan, class. Actually, this happened way back in 2015. Okay? 2015. Now, ganito yung unang nangyari dyan. In 2015, merong 4 people, okay, nag-open ng account sa RCBC. Okay? So, opened 4, actually, dollar accounts yan. Dollar accounts in RCBC. Actually, ano siya, class? RCBC in Jupiter, Makati. Are you familiar with that? Baka yung iba nyo nakita na yan. So, yung RCBC Jupiter branch in Makati, in 2015, may 4 people na nag-open ng dollar accounts. Actually, it's just, I think, $500 per account, right? And then, for a year, idle yung account na yan. Walang nag-deposit, walang nag-withdraw. Okay? And then, in 2016, 1 year after, next na nangyari dyan, class, is yung Bank of Bangladesh, right? Bank of Bangladesh has a deposit sa Federal Reserve in New York. Okay? In New York. So, class yung Bank of Bangladesh, isipin niyo siya para siyang BSP natin, yung Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas natin. So, meron siyang deposit, okay? May deposit siya sa Federal Reserve in New York, right? Now, na-hack yung account na yan, okay? So, $81 million, dollars not pesos, $81 million, okay, may nag-order na i-transfer to RCBC. Dito, sa inopen na dollar account na yan. Alright? So basically, na-hack siya. So class, to give you a perspective, yung Bangladesh, okay, pag kinumpir mo sa Philippines yan, yung GDP niya, kalahati lang ng GDP ng Philippines. So mas mayaman tayo ng twice sa Bangladesh. Alright? So, $81 million, transfer from Federal Reserve in New York, okay, to RCBC sa Jupiter branch. Alright? So, ganyan nangyari dyan. Now, dinivide siya into 4. So, let's say, tawagin natin na yung open ng $4 accounts na yan, person A, person B, person C, person D. Ayan. Si person A, I think na-receive niya is around 30. Okay, 30 million USD. Okay, 20 million and then 25 and then 6 million. Yan. So, ganyan yung allocation. Tama ba? 50, 75, 81 million dollars. Alright? So, yun yung nangyari next. And then, since na-hack siya, yung mga validation criteria, ganyan-ganyan, pumasa. Right? So, kaya na-transfer to RCBC. Ang next na nangyari, class, number 3, si A, okay, so let's say si A, in-encash niya yung dineposit sa kanya. Okay? So, withdraw niya, I think ang withdraw lang niya is withdrew 23 million. Alright? So, 23 million. Now, yung 23 million USD na yan, ang ginawa niya, class, para ma-withdraw niya yan, pinadaan niya yan sa isang remittance company. Ang pangalan is PhilRem. PhilRem. Ayan. Remittance company siya. Ang ginawa ni PhilRem, kinonvert niya yung dollars into peso. Okay? And then, dineposit ni PhilRem yan to an account of a businessman. Right? So, private account ng isang businessman. Okay? So, ganyan nga rin. Si A, since dollars yan, pinadaan niya kay PhilRem, pina-convert niya. And then si PhilRem, nung kinonvert niya sa peso, dineposit niya sa account ng isang businessman. Alright? And then from there, ang ginawa naman yan, yung next na nangyari is, okay, from this, transfer naman to casinos. Ayan. Isa sa mga casinos ng class is Solaire. Ayan, ganyan ang nangyari. And at this point, nag-disappear na yung pera. Okay? So, from A, ganito. From Federal Reserve in New York, RCBC, Jupiter branch, si A, winidraw niya, okay, by transferring to PhilRem, kinonvert ni PhilRem, dineposit sa businessman, okay, transfer sa casinos. Bakit sa casinos? Because that time, class, yung casinos na yan is outside of the scope of AMLA. Okay? You will learn soon sa RFBT nyo na in AMLA, meron kang tinatawag na covered institutions. Ibig sabihin, mga institutions na yun, for certain amount of transactions, dapat may mga validation pa. Sa casinos, wala. So, kahit gano'ng kalaki yung amount dyan, hindi yan covered ng AMLA. Kaya nag-disappear yan sa casinos. Okay? So, yun ang nangyari dyan, class. So, yung next na nangyari dito is si Bank of Bangladesh. Let's call it BB. Okay? Bank of Bangladesh. Again, para siyang yung BSP natin. Ni-request niya si RCBC na mag-stop payment. Okay? Kaya class, actually, hindi buong 81 million na nawala sa RCBC. It amounted to 58 million. Okay? Sabi ni Bank of Bangladesh, mag-stop payment ka kasi na-hack kami. Ganyan. And then, kaya lang, 58 million na yung na-withdraw as of that time. Okay? Actually, ang nagpatagal dyan, kasi na-discover ni Bank of Bangladesh yan because of printer error. Dahil na nagkaroon ng error yung printing, okay, sa printer nila. If not, ang theory nila is, ang gustong i-hack is amounting to 1 billion USD. Alright? So at this point, 58 million yung na-withdraw nung ABCD na yan. Okay? And then, ayun, na-stop yung payment. Now, nakipag-coordinate yung BSP governor ng Bangladesh and BSP governor ng Philippines. Ayan, nag-coordinate sila to probe, okay? Or yung case na yan. Alright? So eventually, class, ayan, nag-stop naman yung payment. And then, ang aftermath nito, okay, yung last na nangyari, ito class yung mga effects nung RCBC money heist na yan. Ang nangyari dyan, class, si branch manager na nag-open ng account sa apat na yan, okay? Siya yung naging ano dyan, siya yung naging criminal dyan, okay? So si branch manager was sentenced to 32 to 56 years imprisonment, alright? And then, pinapabayad siya ng 109 million USD. Okay, 109. So good luck naman, bayaran niya yung 109 million USD. Actually, malaking issue yung class. Kasi ang nangyari dyan, si branch manager lang yung nakulong. Alright? Pero yung mga superior niya, wala. Siya lang talaga. Okay? So, yun yung ano dyan, iniisip ng iba na baka siya lang yung scapegoat dito sa case na yan. And then, what happened next is, si AMLA, well, sinama niya yung casinos dun sa covered institutions or covered transactions. As you will inamend yung AMLA basically. So, as you will learn soon in RFBT, kasama na yung casinos. Okay? So, kaya hindi na pwede mangyari yung nangyari na yan. And also, yung president of RCBC, okay? Actually, nag-resign yan. Alright? So, nag-resign yung president of RCBC na yan. Okay. So, that's what happened to your RCBC money heist. Sir, bakit yun yung illustration natin? Because it's related to our topic, which is about fraud. Again, there are two types of fraud. Number one is fraudulent financial reporting, yung parang sa Celadon group natin. Yung illustration ko na yan, more of misappropriation of assets, stealing of cash. Alright? So, na-implicate dito is the branch manager of Jupiter, of RCBC Jupiter. And ang nangyari dito, class, is, ayan, 81 million USD yung nanakaw from Federal Reserve to RCBC. Alright? Now, class, in line with that, yung considerations natin as auditors, ganito yan, class. We have to consider also in audit what we call the fraud risk factors. Right? Fraud risk factors. Sir, what do you mean by fraud risk factors? Ibig sabihin, class, ito yung mga conditions wherein mataas yung possibility of fraud. Pwede nyo siyang isipin as these are the red flags. Okay? Meron tayong tatlo diyang, class. Number one is incentives or pressures. Okay? Number two is opportunity. And number three is attitude or rationalization. Ayan. Ang tawag natin dito, these are the fraud risk factors. Sir, ano examples ng incentives or pressures? Example niyang, class, let's say, bonus. Okay? Nakadepend dun sa income yung bonus mo. Right? So, yung bonuses na yan, ayan, possible na yan, incentive yan to commit fraud. What else? Let's say, meron kang stock options. Okay, syempre, mas mataas yung income ng company, mas mataas yung stock price, mas magiging attractive yung stock options. What else? Let's say, meron kang plano mo ibenta yung company, okay, sale of business. Para mas mataas yung value ng company, gusto mo i-manipulate yung financial statements. So, incentives and pressures, that's one of the fraud risk factors. Dito sa illustration nating, class, yung incentive dito is financial gain, okay? Obviously, yung 81 million na yan, or kung ang goal nila is 1 billion USD, paghahati-hatian yan ng mga part of this scheme, okay? So, yun ang hack, okay? Or kung yung branch manager, kung talagang kasabwat siya dun sa scheme na yan, paghahati-hatian nila yan, okay? Financial gain is one of the biggest incentives dyan sa RCBC heist na yan. Opportunity. Magandang example ng opportunity is lack of internal controls. So in this case, mag-focus tayo dun sa branch manager. Sa branch manager, nagawa niya yan because of basically lack of internal control. Tama? Nakapag-collude siya with the hackers, okay? With the hackers, nakapag-collude siya, kaya na-validate yung transfer and na-receive ni RCBC. Alright? Meron siyang opportunity to commit fraud. Alright? So, especially yung branch manager na yan, nag-work na yata siya for more than 10 years dun sa bank. So, alam na niya yung lahat ng processes and yung mga flaws ng internal controls nila. Number 3 is attitudes or rationalization. So, basically, ito yung personal reasons mo na kung bakit may co-commit yung fraud. So, let's say, we don't know kung ano yung personal reasons of branch manager. So, let's say, ang personal reason niya is malaki yung financial problem niya. Alright? Or for example, nire-rationalize niya na, oh, yung iba, ganito rin naman yung ginagawa, so why not ganito rin yung gawin ko? So that's an example of rationalization. So no matter what, kung ano man yung personal reason niya, ang tawag natin dyan is attitudes and rationalization. So as auditors, we have to consider these fraud risk factors because mas maraming fraud risk factors, mas maraming red flags, the higher the chance na mag-commit ng fraud yung employee and the management. Actually, class, yung fraudulent financial reporting, ang ibang tawag dyan is management fraud. Okay? Yung misappropriation of assets naman, ang tawag dyan is employee fraud. Bakit, sir? Yung fraudulent financial reporting, usually ang in-charge naman dyan, well, ang may kayang gumawa niyan is management because it's related to manipulation of FS. Now, yung stealing of cash, stealing of inventory, si employee naman yung usually part of this fraud. Okay? Management fraud and employee fraud. Okay. Lastly, sir, ano yung responsibilities when it comes to fraud? Alright. So, let us clarify. Okay? Tingnan mo muna. May dalawa yan. It's the management or the BOD and the auditor. Okay. Yung management, yung role niya, yung responsibility niya when it comes to fraud is the prevention and detection of fraud. Okay? Because si management yung responsible sa implementation of internal controls. Siya din yung responsible sa prevention and detection of fraud. Okay? Sir, ano yung responsibility of the auditor? Yung responsibility naman class ng auditor, sulat ko okay. The responsibility of the auditor is to provide reasonable assurance, okay, that the financial statements, okay, that the financial statements are free of material misstatements, and explain ko later, material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error. Ayan. So if you read the PSA, ito yung responsibility ng auditor when it comes to fraud. The auditor is responsible to provide reasonable assurance, lagi namang reasonable assurance, that the financial statements are free of material misstatements whether due to fraud or error. Okay, i-distinguish muna natin. Sir, ano yung difference between fraud or error? Pag fraud, intentional yan. Ito, intentional to. Pag error naman, so for example, nagkamali lang ng computation ng depreciation. So, mali yung FS mo, but then it's an error. Unintentional naman. Intentional, unintentional. Sir, what do you mean by provide reasonable assurance that the FS are free of material misstatement whether due to fraud or error? Okay, ganito ibig sabihin ng class. First off, hindi responsible si auditor sa detection of fraud. Sino yung responsible doon? It's the management. Prevention and detection of fraud is the responsibility of the management. Sir, kailan magiging responsible si auditor niyan? If the auditor, during the course of application of audit procedures, okay, then evident na or very apparent na dapat ma-discover niya yung fraud. Yun lang yung instance na magiging responsible si auditor sa fraud. Sir, bigyan natin ng example. For example, si auditor gumagawa siya ng bank reconciliation. That's an audit procedure. And then yung binigay sa kanyang bank statement ni client, sobrang obvious na fabricated. Okay? Let's say walang pirma ni bank, or let's say sobrang obvious na fabricated yung bank statement. And then si auditor, hindi niya pinansin yun. Tinuloy lang niya yung bank recon. Okay? In that case, okay, sa application of audit procedures, very obvious na may fraud na nangyari, but binaliwala ni auditor. That's the time na magiging liable si auditor sa fraud. Magiging responsibility siya sa fraud. But in general, yung responsibility sa detection is on the management. Got it? Kaya sabi dyan, reasonable assurance that the FS are free from material misstatement due to fraud. So example natin earlier, dapat yung application, yung bank recon niya, okay, may fraud na nangyari doon, so dapat na-detect ni auditor yun. Kasi yun yung application of audit procedures. Pero for example, class, yung mga ganyan, yung mga nangyari dito, hindi responsibility ni auditor dyan. Walang pakialam si auditor dyan, basically. Okay? Sige, so that's, yan yung overview natin. Let's go to number 22. Which of the following best describes a portion of the auditor's responsibility regarding illegal acts by client? Illegal acts, yun yung fraud. Okay? A. The auditors have a responsibility to discover all material illegal acts? Nope. It's the responsibility of the management. B. If audit procedures reveal illegal acts, the auditors should take appropriate actions. Correct. Yung example ko kanina, yung bank recon na fabricated yung bank statement, boy yung sagot dyan. So boy na yung sagot sa 22. Let's go to C. If the auditors suspect illegal acts have been performed, they should conduct a legal audit of the company. D. The auditor's responsibility for the detection of illegal acts is the same. Hindi. Again, ang may responsibility dyan is the management. Best answer dyan is number 22. The auditors who find that the client has committed an illegal act would most likely to withdraw from the engagement when A. Management fails to take appropriate corrective action. B. Illegal act has material financial statement implications. C. Illegal act has received widespread publicity. Or D. Auditors cannot reasonably estimate the effect. Actually, class, yung A yung sagot natin dyan. If the management fails to take appropriate corrective action. For example, yung kaninang fabricated yung bank statement, bringing up mo kay management yun, wala siyang ginawa. Okay? Pinabayaan lang niya. Alright? So, it might be a ground for withdrawal of from the engagement. Okay? Pero syempre, i-consider mo din yung, let's say, 80% complete na audit engagement. syempre, hindi ka na mag-withdraw from that. Okay? Ang maapektuhan na nun, yung opinion na i-issue mo for that client. Okay? Most likely, adverse opinion yung ibibigay mo sa kanya. Anyway, so yung B, C, and D will affect the audit opinion. Yung A, pag walang ginawa si management, well, it's a sign of lack of integrity. Pwede ka mag-withdraw from the engagement. Pero syempre, consider mo yung percentage of completion ng audit. Okay, let's go to so 23 is A. 24, if an illegal act is discovered during an audit of publicly held company, the auditors should first, okay, lagay mo dyan, dog yung sagot dyan, letter D, okay, 24. Yung letter D, yan yung una mong gagawin, number 1 yan, okay? Yung second na gagawin mo, class, is number 2. Yung second na gagawin mo is letter B, okay? Yung third na gagawin mo is letter C. Alright? Basahin natin. Pag may na-discover ka na fraud, ano yung una mong gagawin? Letter D muna. Report the act to high-level personnel within the client's organization and to the audit committee. Sino ba class yung audit committee? Naalala niyo pa yan sa discussion ng corporations? Si audit committee actually, independent siya from management. Alright? Si audit committee is composed of members of the board of directors. For example, yung BOD, 10 sila. Yung audit committee, let's say, 3 out of 10 part of the audit committee. So, ang role ng audit committee class, dyan nagre-report si audit team. Dyan nagre-report si audit team. Gets? Hindi pwede mag-report si audit team agad sa management kasi nga, may conflict of interest. Si audit committee is also independent from the management. So, okay lang na yung communication is between the audit team and the audit committee. Kaya yung sagot dito is letter D. Okay, second na gagawin mo is letter B, determine who was responsible for the illegal act. And next na gagawin mo is letter C, intensify the examination to identify all illegal acts. Answer natin for number 24 is dog. The following are examples of error. So ano yung error? Saan yung error natin? Ito, pag error, unintentional. Let's say, mali yung depreciation mo. Okay, mali yung computation mo ng adjustments mo or whatever. A, mistake in gathering or processing data. Yes, error yan. Incorrect accounting estimate. Yes. Mistake in application of accounting principles. Yes. Letter D, misrepresentation in the financial statements. Fraud yung letter D na yan. So, yung D na yan is for fraudulent financial reporting. A, B, and C are examples of error. Dog is an example of fraud. Okay. Ano yan? 25. Uy, malapit na. 37 lang. Malapit na class. 12 items. Okay, the term fraud refers to an intentional act by one or more individuals, those charged with governance and so on. Which statement is correct regarding fraud? A, auditors make legal determinations of whether fraud has actually occurred. Nope. Okay. Mali yan. Okay. Again, kapag lang nadaanan ng audit procedures mo, basically. B, misstatement of financial statements may not be the objective of some frauds. Actually, that's correct. Because yung fraud, pwedeng misstatement of FS or misappropriation of assets. Kaya tama yung boy na yan. Okay. C, fraud involving one or more members of the management is referred to as employee fraud, management fraud. Ito. Fraud involving only employees is known as employee fraud. So, ang tama dito class is letter B or boy. The types of intentional misstatements that are relevant to the auditor's consideration of fraud include 1. Misstatement resulting from fraudulent financial reporting. Yes. Misappropriation of assets. Yes. Answer natin letter A, 1 and 2. 28. Fraudulent financial reporting involves intentional misstatements or omissions or amounts or disclosures. Fraudulent financial reporting least likely involve A. Deception, such as manipulation, falsification, alteration of accounting records. Yes. Misrepresentation, intentional omission, FS. That's correct. Intentional misapplication of accounting principles. Correct. D. Embezzling receipts, stealing physical or intangible assets, causing an entity to pay for goods and services. Letter D is an example of misappropriation of assets. Dog yung sagot natin for number 28. The risk of not detecting material misstatement resulting from fraud is higher than the risk of not detecting resulting from error because, so mas mahirap daw ma-detect yung fraud over error because A, the effect of fraudulent act is likely committed in the accounting records. B, fraud is ordinarily accompanied by acts specifically designed to conceal its existence. Correct. Ito, example natin dito. Mas mahirap yung fraud because first and foremost is intentional. Yung error, unintentional. So, ibig sabihin, yung fraud, planned yan. Okay? Planado yan, unlike error. Okay, C. Fraud is always a result of connivance between or among employees. The auditor is responsible to detect frauds or errors, but not fraud. Boy is the best answer. Number 30. Which of the following best describes what is meant by the term fraud risk factor? A. Factors whose presence indicates that the risk of fraud is high. Factors whose presence often has been observed in circumstances where frauds have occurred. Actually, boy yung best answer dito. No? Yun yung definition of fraud risk factors. Factors whose presence often has been observed in circumstances where frauds have occurred. Okay? Yun yung fraud risk factors. May bonuses, okay? Mga stock options, okay? So, lack of internal controls. Ayan, yun yung fraud risk factors. Boy is the answer. Number 31, fraud risk factors related to management characteristics and influence over the control environment. A, pertain to management's ability, pressure, style, and attitude relating to internal control and the fraudulent and the financial reporting process. Actually, A yung sagot natin for number 31. Sir, ano ibig sabihin ng fraud risk factors relating to management characteristics? Ang magandang example dito is if the management is dominated by one individual. So, for example, sobrang konti ng tao, okay? So, kulang yung segregation of duties. So, very huge yung power or yung role of the management sa mga decision making. Okay? So, here, yung influence sa internal controls is very strong. Okay? Answer natin dito, class, is letter A, pertain to management's abilities, pressure, style, and attitude relating to internal control. 32. Which of the following is least likely a category of fraud risk factors that relate to misstatements resulting from fraudulent financial reporting? A, management's characteristics. B, industry conditions. C, operating characteristics and financial stability. Or D, susceptibility of assets. Okay, yung question natin is about fraudulent financial reporting. Yung letter D is for misappropriation of assets. So, dog yung sagot natin dyan, mas related siya sa misappropriation of assets. Number 33, which of the following circumstances most likely indicate the possibility of fraud or error? A, management engages in frank communication with appropriate third parties. B, evidence of an unduly lavish lifestyle by officers or employees. Actually, boy yung sagot natin dyan. So, alin daw dito yung possibility of fraud or error? So, let's say, class, yung client natin, nakita mo, net loss for the past 5 years, puro losses. Tapos, yung nakita mo, class, yung CEO, yung CFO, mga naka-sports car or naka, let's say, gold watches. Ayan, lavish lifestyle by officers or employees. So, it might be an indicator na, well, may possibility of fraud doon. Okay, may fraud risk factor tayo. Boy is the answer. Okay, let's go to number 34. If the auditor believes an indicated error or fraud or error could have a material effect on the FS, the nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures depends on the auditor's judgment as to A, type of fraud or error. B, likelihood that the type of fraud or error could have material effect on the FS. The likelihood of the occurrence, all of the above. All of the above is the answer. Ito yung mga considerations natin. Consider natin siya next time in designing the nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures. Next time, di-discuss natin yan. Okay. 35. If an auditor believes a client may have committed illegal acts or fraud, which of the following actions should the auditor take? A, consult with the client's counsel and the auditor's counsel to determine how the suspected illegal acts will be communicated to stockholders. Okay? First and foremost, hindi mo kailangan mag-consult sa client's counsel kasi dapat independent ka from the client. B, extend auditing procedures to determine whether the suspected illegal acts have a material effect on the FS. C, make inquiries of client's management and obtain understanding of the circumstances and other evidence to determine the effects of the acts of the FS. So, yun muna. Inquire ka muna kay management. So, sa example natin kanina, nag-prepare ka ng bank recon, nakita mo, fabricated yung bank statement. Mag-inquire ka muna kay management. Baka naman, meron siyang, baka na-misplace lang yung real bank statement or whatever. Siyempre, yan muna. I-clarify mo muna, tingnan mo muna yung understanding mo dun sa situation, okay, before you do other things. Okay. And then after that, pag nakita mo class na talagang may fraud, pwede mong i-notify yung audit committee. Yung D, pwede mong gamitin yan. Pwede mong gawin yan after. Pero yung C muna. C is number 1, second step is letter D. Okay, notify each member of the audit committee. 36, when the auditor becomes aware of information concerning a possible non-compliance to laws and regulations. So again, class, ang pag-uusapan natin is fraud and compliance with laws and regulations. Maikli lang to, okay? So ganito lang ibig sabihin yung class. So, companies have to comply with different government agencies, okay? For example, class, yung example is RCBC. RCBC belongs to the banking industry. And banks are highly regulated. Sobrang regulated yan. Ang daming compliance sa mga banks na yan. Okay? So, since banks are in the form of corporations, kailangan mag-comply siya sa SEC. Okay? So, kailangan mag-file siya, mag-submit siya ng audited FS every quarter kapag listed. Or let's say every year. And then, syempre, mag-comply din siya sa BIR to pay the correct amount of taxes. In this case, si RCBC, listed company yan, magko-comply din siya sa PSE. Okay? Maraming documentary requirements or mga disclosure requirements si PSE. So, lahat yan dapat mag-comply si RCBC. And, aside from that, dapat mag-comply din si RCBC sa BSP. Okay? So, BSP kasi governs basically, mga banks na yan. Okay? And actually, class, aside from that, yung mga bangko na yan, meron din siyang, ino-audit din siya ni SGB, tama? Or ni SGB, ni mga audit firms na yan. In your illustration pala kayo na PwC. And then may mga internal auditors pa yan. So ganun class regulated, controlled yung mga banks na yan. Right? Now, let's focus on BSP. Okay? So class, ever since nagkaroon ng financial crisis no 2008 financial crisis, I don't know kung ano ginagawa niya, 2008 na yan. So that's, more than 10 years ago na yan. So, no 2008 financial crisis, naging strict na yung mga central banks around the world, okay? And then, nag-introduce ng tinatawag natin na Basel III. I don't know if you're familiar with this. Pero yung Basel III na yung class, kailangan mag-comply lahat ng banks sa requirements yan. Okay? So, yung Basel III na yan, ang goal niyang class is to ensure yung capital adequacy of banks, okay? And to ensure yung liquidity ng mga bangko na yan. Okay? So, for example, merong hindi nakabayad na borrower si bank, dapat hindi basta-basta maapektuhan yung bangko. Dapat liquid siya, adequate yung capital niya. When you say capital, basically assets minus liabilities. So, yung capital ni bank, adequate yan. Dapat liquid siya. Okay? And then, actually, yung terms na ginagamit dyan, class, I don't know if familiar kayo sa capital adequacy ratio. Okay? Or tinatawag na CAR, Capital Adequacy Ratio. Yun yung ratio na kailangan i-maintain ng mga banks in order to comply with the Basel III or in order to comply with BSP. So, yun yung mga minimum capital requirements nila. So, in short class, yung mga corporations na yan, especially banks, they have to comply with these laws and regulations. So, ang dami niyan, lalo na yung mga listed companies. Okay? And yung responsibility niyan is, i-raise ko na kanina, yung compliance sa laws and regulations, ang may responsibility dyan is the management. Okay? So, si auditor, reasonable assurance lang na kapag pinerform niya yung audit procedures, makita niya na dapat compliant si client dun sa laws and regulations. Pero yung actual compliance, si management yan. Parang yung responsibility pagdating sa fraud. Ganun lang din yung responsibility when it comes to compliance with laws and regulations. Let's go to number 36. Tapusin natin to. When the auditor becomes aware of information concerning possible non-compliance to laws or regulations, an auditor should appropriately answer dito is letter A. Obtain an understanding of the nature which has occurred and evaluate the possible effect to the financial statements. Okay. Yun muna. Tingnan mo muna. Understand mo muna kung talaga bang may non-compliance. So let's say yung capital adequacy ratio, let's say hindi na-meet ni RCBC. Okay. So kailangan may understanding muna yung auditor. Now, next mong gagawin dyan is pwede mong i-discuss with the management. Yung B, pwede mong gawin yan. Okay? Pwede mo rin gawin yung letter D, consult with the entity's legal counsel. Okay? But basically, or actually hindi pala, consult with the auditor's legal counsel yung dapat mong gawin. But basically, ang first na gagawin mo dyan is letter A. Obtain an understanding first of the nature of the non-compliance. After that, tsaka ka magtanong kay management. Okay? That's letter A for number 36. And last one is number 37. Which of the following circumstances regarding the entity's non-compliance may cause the auditor to resign from the management? Let's say, si RCBC hindi siya nag-comply sa requirements ng BSP, okay, or ni PSE. Ano yung instance na magre-resign ka from the engagement? A, the auditor is unable to determine whether non-compliance has occurred. B, if the auditor concludes that the non-compliance has material effect. Letter C, when the entity does not take remedial action that he considers necessary. And letter D, when the disclosure is non-compliance is necessary. Answer natin dito, class, is letter C. Parang yung fraud, yung question kayo na about fraud. Pag na-discover mo yung fraud, and then walang ginawa si management to address that fraud, right? It might be a ground for withdrawal or retirement from, or withdrawal or resignation from the engagement. In the same way, sa non-compliance with laws and regulations, pag walang ginawa si management, when the entity does not take remedial action that he considers necessary, so yun din yung ground from resignation from engagement. Again, at the end of the day, yung effect nito is magre-reflect dyan yung integrity of the management. And yung pinaka-important sa acceptance and continuance of client relationship is the integrity of the management. Answer for number 37 is letter C. Okay, that's the end of our discussion for auditors' professional and legal responsibilities and system of quality control.
Away from them just because